Hey everyone, I'm Rob. It's Sunday today, so that means it's time to sit down and chat all things ChatGPT and generative AI and catch up with the news in the week. I'm currently in Calgary, Canada right now. I'm surprising my family, my dad and my stepmother and my friends, and I'm really looking forward to it. And I'm at my sister's right now. So that explains the different setup that we have going on right here. And I'm not sure if you can see, but this like lovely suburban background. Yeah, it's a vibe. It's a vibe. Anyways, let's get started with some of the news. So jumping into the news, let's chat about the business-related articles that I read this week. So the first one that really caught my attention was that IBM is pairing with Microsoft, and essentially what they're looking to do is just expand their collaboration with Microsoft AI and deploy generative AI, focusing on scaling the Azure OpenAI service. And what they talk about in this press release is that they're looking at a variety of different sectors and that IBM Consulting will provide the expertise and technology to manage the AI services. So just looking through the article, it's really nice. They talk about procurement and source to pay, which is great. Summarization, easy peasy. The thing that we've been chatting on this channel for a while is about healthcare. So I'm really curious to see, what sort of virtual assistants will come out of this. I think this is super exciting. Enterprise search, knowledge base. Okay, this is kind of like, it seems like it's now the generative AI, like bread and butter. So really cool. And it's also nice that IBM Consulting is doing a generative AI business readiness assessment. And from a consulting perspective, I think this news is relevant for all of us because it pertains to kind of like, the hashtag future of work. I think there's going to be more of a multimodal generative AI approach, digital transformation, cloud computing, data-driven analysis. Super cool. IBM, yeah, you're doing amazing, sweetie. So this next piece of news is interesting for the designers out there. Adobe is reportedly looking into having AI-powered features to Adobe Express. Now, many designers, etc., might not even know Adobe Express. Some might know it as sort of the Canva competitor, but I think many people see that Canva has such a huge market share in the ready-to-go off-the-shelf designer application. So what they're looking to do with Adobe Express is just to have the baked-in Firefly features here, so like background removal, character animations, etc. I'm curious to see what will be the result of this. I think many people use Canva and stick to Canva. It's kind of market leading, but it's nice to see Adobe sort of try and get into the space, especially because their stock image library that they use is like, there's no risk of copyright issues when you're using generative AI there. From the business side of things, I think that Canva will still be leading. However, I think from the commercial side of things, because Adobe's sort of like positioning themselves to focus on the safety in which making images or generating images comes from their stock library, so you will never be at risk of copyright. That's going to be kind of their USP here. The next article that I read that pertains to business was this one from Tech Republic. The first key takeaway was that they reported that 31% of organizations are using generative AI to ask it to write it code, which to me is like stranger danger. Like there might be copyright code in there and that your business could, face fines or penalties for using that IP that's not yours. I think the other almost more interesting part of this article actually was that they report that CEOs are the ones that are driving adoption for AI. So they, in this survey, 98% of organizations are reporting leader-driven AI strategy. Now, they also have survey results that are interesting as well, saying that some organizations haven't implemented AI because they have concerns about data privacy, lack of trust of the results. So now in general, I found this article just to be like fascinating and useful from a consulting and business point of view, because it talks about that, a lot of the growing interest in AI across different industries, etc., is being driven by leadership. And not only that when people are thinking about AI, that there's huge concerns about privacy, trust, and expertise. And so therefore, like, when it comes to IBM saying like, hey, we're gonna do generative AI readiness assessment checks and whatnot, then they can kind of come up with these tailored solutions and frameworks that account for privacy, human oversight, etc. So interesting to know, and I think really relevant for consultants. Now, speaking of leadership, this next article talks about how the CEO of Walmart says that implementing generative AI will unlock a whole bunch of value for shareholders. So the CEO, Doug McMillan, highlighted the use of large language models in add retail context to suit consumers, associates, and the supply chain. And we talked about supply chain last week, and I'm so curious to see how AI will really enable supply chain to be that much more precise. So they're looking to integrate AI into physical automation, data, and intelligent software. They want to do some implementations around like conversational AI in experiences. Why I think this is super relevant is because it's like, really technology in the retail space, and especially we know the huge retail giant that is Walmart, that they're actually going to head full steam into AI. I think that we're going to see some things in customer engagement, perhaps operational effectiveness, and we know that Walmart is like the champion of operational effectiveness. I'm curious to see what this will be like as like a blueprint for other organizations. Now, talking about consumers, the consumer is always right. No, I'm kidding. That's like a very North American approach. I feel like in the Netherlands, they're just like, what do you want? Like, why are you bothering me? Anyways, talking about consumers, we chatted about Amazon actually implementing AI like maybe a month ago or a few months ago, and Euronews.next is reporting that they're really going ahead in tapping generative AI to summarize product reviews, which is very cool. So quickly understand the themes from other buyers, extract common themes, and present them in a short paragraph in the product detail page. So it will be, it'll be nice, allowing users to kind of really understand like the specific attributes about products. This is an egg. Okay. Anyways, the CEO of Amazon, Andy Jassy, has already highlighted that generative AI is a big deal, which is, again, a huge retail giant signaling this. Yeah, I'm really curious that both Walmart and Amazon are in the news about AI for personalization, user-friendly experiences. Now, the last business-related article that I read was about advertising, and that major advertisers like Nestle, Unilever, that work with WPP are looking to explore generative AI to boost productivity in their advertising campaigns. And you're thinking like, okay, what does that mean? Well, what I mean is just like, instead of flying to Africa for a photo shoot, you can just generate Africa on your computer screen. So this is super interesting. In this article, they report that there's potential of 10 to 20 times % savings compared to the traditional methods. They're using tools like ChatGPT for text and DALL-E for the content creation. What this signals to me is that the traditional advertiser role will change and will involve prompt engineering. Again, very interesting. Now let's move on from the business world and let's talk about more of the kind of the tech sector. Now, shifting to the New York Times, they wrote an article that had two very interesting nuggets of information. The first was actually that DeepMind is developing 21 types of professional and personal tasks that AI can do, such as generating scientific text, creative and professional writing, recognizing patterns and extracting data from text, the bread and butter things that are going to be some interesting applications. And the other that they were testing were the assistant's ability to answer intimate questions and challenges in people's lives. Almost kind of like a life coach or something. So one of the examples in the text that they say that somebody put in is, I have a really close friend who's getting married this winter. She was my college roommate and a bridesmaid at my wedding. I want to go badly to her wedding to celebrate it, but I haven't found a job yet. She's having a destination wedding. How do I tell her that I won't be able to come? And I think that many people have been using ChatGPT already for this type of thing, but Google might be then, wrapping a personal assistant package around their large language model to specifically focus on these sorts of life quandaries. Now, I think from an ethical perspective, this is so fascinating because we all go through some downs in life, but when people become super reliant on AI, does that diminish their personal agency? Do people then become too dependent on technology that they may think that is sentient? And we'll get to it later where there are AI girlfriends, and that's a whole nother can of worms. Skip to the timestamp for that. Okay, so we're gonna move on from like basically the premise of Her with Joaquin Phoenix, and let's talk about Stack Overflow, which is even fun. Okay, I can't lie, it's Stack Overflow. If you work in software engineering, you know Stack Overflow. Stack Overflow has recently announcing that it's going to roll out Overflow AI, so a new set of generative AI-based tools. So, we're talking semantic search capabilities. We're also, perhaps integrations in Visual Studio and Slack, which is great. And it's also interesting because before we knew that Stack Overflow had a bit of a skeptical approach to AI, and now they're kind of just like, actually, never mind. If your company has an enterprise-wide version of Stack Overflow, I'm sure there's going to be training materials that will need to be created for this a year down the line. So yeah, that's the interesting stuff with Stack Overflow and Overflow AI. Did you miss talking about regulatory news? Because I sure did not. Actually, wait, no, I do like talking about it. Anyways, okay, let's talk about our good friends over in China and Apple. So Apple is pulling 100 generative AI related apps from the App Store in China to comply with China's new regulation on AI content. We talked about that, I think, a few weeks back. These rules will make certain that content on apps employing large language models like ChatGPT is illegal, because we know that China is saying that they want to vet all the large language models, training materials, any sort of bias output, to put it politely. The interesting thing about this is not just like, okay, they're removing a bunch of apps, but really what it signals is that, you know, for people that are interested in this space in China, it's understanding regulation in these countries is going to be crucial for guiding clients through compliance and licensing procedures. Also to just really how you need to understand the different country and region laws in aligning AI and rolling out AI products and services. Now, in some regulatory news, the National Post is reporting that the Canadian government is developing a voluntary code of conduct for general artificial intelligence. This would require companies in AI, to potentially and voluntarily sign up that their systems that they're creating and their output prevents any sort of malicious output or harmful use, such as impersonation, cyber attacks, etc., etc. Well, I think this is great. Actually, let me not be North American. I'm super cynical about this, to be honest. I think it's nice, for a voluntary code of conduct, that it's good marketing. It could be nice branding that you are an ethical AI creator or organization, but it seems a bit of like AI washing, or dare I say like blue washing, because there's also another article about the UN Council that big tech cannot be trusted to guarantee AI safety, and it's like, yeah. And further on in this article, they say that, the world, or the founder of Anthropic said that the world must come together to prevent technology's misuse. And I find that so difficult now the genie's out of the bottle. Like we saw that there are models that have their guardrails taken away being sold on the black market. So I don't know. I don't want to be Debbie Downer on the bus to Frowntown, but like I'm cynical about this, and I hope that there is some sort of code of conduct or real strong regulation, perhaps like China, which has just shut everything down, but at the same time that that kind of prevents the nature and the outcomes of competition. So this is, for me, this is a huge thing that I think about, that I'm digesting in my mind, and that's really. Let's get to, okay, heavy topic is over. Let's talk about AI girlfriends. Okay, and lastly, this headline is horrible. Oh my gosh, okay, what a leading headline. Anyways, I digress. This was an interesting article that I read because we are getting into the age of AI companions. So we have platforms like Ava AI and Replica, and the whole intention here is AI generated girlfriends. Now, it's designed for users to have the perfect partner through communication and these virtual AI identities and entities. And I think it's super interesting because there can be potential negative impacts. And that's what this article is purporting, that we're kind of entering an age in which you can have almost like the perfect partner, and that might feed into really harmful cultural beliefs of control in relationships. I am, also on the good side, male loneliness is such an epidemic. So again, it's another I'm digesting in my mind. So I'm gonna stop it there. In my life this week, I am in Canada and I'm super excited. I'm gonna surprise my dad and my stepmother for my stepmother's birthday on Tuesday, which is gonna be really nice. And then I'm gonna surprise one of my best friends tomorrow. He doesn't know that I'm here, and that's that. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you for appreciating that I'm in a different space with not the big not the big microphone. Anyways, blah, blah, blah. I'm gonna stop talking. There's family dinner with my sister and my nieces waiting downstairs, so I'm gonna go to that. And in the meantime, I wish everybody a wonderful, wonderful week. Bye.